Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. I have the pleasure again this month to sit down with your police chief, Chad Brecklin. Chad, how are you today?
I am very good, Andrew, and I'm beginning to think that Jeremy is starting to avoid me now that we're in consecutive months where he has had you fill in, which I'm perfectly fine chatting with you.
Yeah, well, it's his loss, I guess, right? We
There you go.
have good conversations, and he's off this week a little bit, so I do what I can to fill in when he's gone. I've actually have several interviews I've done this week now, so you'll see a lot of me on interviews within the next month. So
That's good.
it happens. It's okay. I'm okay with it.
Have people that can fill in easily, and
Yeah,
the whole office doesn't even miss a beat.
I know. We keep going. Got to keep going. Can't stop, right? So we're here to talk about it's a bittersweet interview here. On this is the last interview we have with you as police chief, and but you're moving on to being the city administrator here for the city, which I'm sure mostly everyone knows at this point. But why don't you describe the process here within the next few months now with you leaving as chief and becoming city administrator, what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. It is odd that it is my last talking Fitchburg conversation as police chief. And I think you used a really good word to describe that in that it's bittersweet. Timing isn't always how we have things planned in our mind, and opportunities don't always present themselves when you are looking for them per se. But it certainly was an opportunity that doesn't come open very often, about two times in the last 20 years by my calculation. And, it's something that I'm definitely looking forward to, that being the administrator role. But how the transition will look for us here in the police department and through the city is that I'm wrapping up my time here in the office physically at the end of this week. And I'll be taking a little bit of time off. I had some pre-scheduled time off that I was planning on using anyway. And then I will come back after taking that time off in July 12th as city administrator. So I'm looking forward, obviously, to beginning that new role on Monday the 12th. What we'll have in place here in the police department is obviously the an interim police chief will be selected, and that I anticipate will be happening soon. And the department will be in good hands of that interim police chief while new police chief is being sought. And then as I look to transition into the city administrator role, it's going to be a lot of looking, listening, talking, but predominantly a lot of looking and listening for the first several months. Obviously, meeting with Mayor Richardson and acting administrators, Misty Dodge and Mike Zimmerman, to help, kind of get up to speed on all of the happenings in the city. Been fortunate to kind of get sprinkled into a few things here and there over the last couple of months, and obviously being a longtime city employee, I've got a good relationship and connection with many of the folks that I'm going to continue to work with. We'll be looking, obviously, to build upon those relationships and connections. And I'm familiar with a lot of the challenges and opportunities that the city is already embarking on. So I think that'll help make the transition hopefully as smooth as possible.
Yeah, and as we just had started this week was all the CIP presentations from all the groups. I'm sure you gave your last one as police chief to that as well, and that'll be an interesting transition too, since that's a 10-year outlook, and you're like, well, I'm not in this part, but you'll be obviously within the CIP realm as being the
Mhm.
administrator. And then you'll be pretty much thrown right into budget time, I'm sure. So you get to see your first budget as city administrator pretty quick out of the gate there. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the timing is never good on some of the stuff. I think in an ideal world, the police chief would be leaving after the budget process is
Mhm.
done. That would allow a new chief to kind of get settled in before they had to start the budget process. But I will, mention that, it seems like the city is always in a budget process between CIP and operating budget, and I'd be happy to
Exactly.
share that with Misty, those thoughts that
Yeah.
it's seems to be a year-round process
Yes.
anymore. But obviously, yeah, if timing were a little bit better, the new police chief wouldn't be starting until after budget season. And of course, the city administrator role wouldn't necessarily be beginning in the throes of budget season. And perhaps it wouldn't have been that way, obviously, if I wasn't selected for that role, but that is how it's going to go. So I may be wearing a couple of hats, at least from a budget perspective, during this year's process, and definitely looking to help not only the interim police chief, but the new police chief through both of the CIP and the operating budget processes, helping out definitely where I can, and continuing to carry that torch for the period of time to allow both of those folks to kind of get a little settled in and so forth. But yeah, so if you see me at those budget meetings wearing a city administrator hat, taking it off, put the police chief hat, kind of a police budget hat on briefly, and then popping the city administrator hat back on, you'll know why that is.
I think we should actually get you some hats so we know when you're talking which one we're doing here. I think that'd be good.
I may have to preface comments by speaking in whatever capacity I'm representing.
Yes, exactly. Well, speaking of chief, I just put in our update on Wednesday that we have a survey out for the public and kind of what the process is going to be for looking for a new police chief here at the city of Fitchburg. Can you explain what that looks like a little bit?
Yeah, so obviously the Police and Fire Commission has the responsibility and the authority to hire the next police chief. And they have been diligently working on that process ever since it was confirmed that I would be transitioning to the city administrator role in the summer months here. And it's been obviously a lot of work has been put in already by the Police and Fire Commission. There's been several special meetings of the commission. I also should include Sarah Olson, our HR manager, into that conversation. She also has put in a ton of work already on the police chief side of things, in addition to all the work that she coordinated with the city administrator process and all of the other HR related matters she tends to. But a number of things have already been put into place. Surveys have gone out, obviously, to our community via the city websites. I think that the commissioners have also been able to share that link with their folks in their contacts, as have alders. Our city employees have also had a survey link provided to them that allows them to also offer their feedback on what they would like to see in the next police chief. The city is currently advertising the position and accepting applications. I think the process to submit applications closes June 28th, if my memory serves me correctly. And I'm definitely optimistic that we'll get a good qualified candidate pool here and, ultimately find a really good candidate to lead Fitchburg PD.
Well, that's really great. I'm glad it'll be, everyone is kind of included in the survey, like what the community is looking for, what the city staff is looking, what we think we should be looking for within any new role, especially in the higher rankings of our city departments here. And that's good to hear. It keeps moving forward nicely. And again, it's the last interview with you, but it's not the last interview with you, Chad. Like, I know we'll keep seeing you obviously every month, but in a new capacity. Well, hopefully every month. I guess we'll have to ask once you're city administrator if that's good, because we always like having the administrator updates here on Fact TV for the public as well. And again, congratulations for the job, the promotion, and the new look on life here in the job world for you. That's a big transition. So.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it, and I am looking forward to the new leadership challenge and learning a whole lot more about all of city operations instead of having kind of that exposure to one obviously in depth and maybe a couple of others here with little sprinklings of interaction and in-depth knowledge, so to speak. But definitely looking forward to it, and I certainly hope that I meet everyone's expectations.
I think you'll do a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in that role and seeing what the next few years brings as you learn that role, and for the new police chief as well when they enter that role. I'm assuming later in this year. So thank you, Chad, for today. As again, the last interview, I get to see you out instead of Jeremy, so I'll take that as well. And of course, we'll see you back here. We'll see most likely in July for maybe the first update as you as city administrator.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you, Chad. And you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you as well, Andrew.
And thank you very much. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.